What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG Structures chapter review. Today, guys, we are going to be going over the second chapter of the Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG Structures manga. I do apologize for people that have been enjoying the series that I didn't do one last week. I was actually out of town when I was supposed to be doing them, and I didn't get the chance to record it ahead. I didn't even get the chance to even read it, so I actually did not have a time to even record it anyway. And when I got back, I was trying to catch up with a whole lot of other stuff, and I was not able to get that chapter reviewed at all. So I'm gonna just be doing it now. We might be a week behind it than what I was originally planning, but you know what? That is completely fine with me. It's gonna happen once in a while, so it's gonna be fine. Plus, I have to catch up with it anyways. I'm already behind, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal to me. But we're gonna be going over the second chapter, so without further ado, guys, let's not waste any time and let's get started. So, what did I think of this chapter? I thought this was a good chapter. This was just a full-based dueling chapter, so I really do feel, and I know I've said that in the past before, but I really don't feel like I'm going to be talking about this much in this chapter just because of the fact that this type of dueling is different from what we see in the anime. I don't know how to really explain it. I guess with this one, it's on a different level than with the anime because I will say though, the anime I feel like is really easy to understand once you just know the effects of everything. I until this until I read this chapter and or started reading OCD structures, I never heard of swarms in my life. I might have heard of it, but I don't remember it. But I heard of Tenji's. The only one I knew was like Mock of the Tenji, the Link One monster. That was the only one I knew. But I didn't really know any of these decks going into this. So reading this chapter, it was a little bit harder for me to kind of read it because there were with this one, and it's more because it's more on the card game, and it's going to be talking about a lot of effects. And if you guys see the card game today, it's a lot more confusing than in the past of just summoning a monster in attack position and then maybe adding an equip spell or something like that and attacking your opponent. No, it's completely different. You have a monster that has like 3 or 4 different effects on it. Like it has banishing effects. It has all this different stuff. So the game is completely different than it used to be, and that I feel like that's definitely something I'm gonna have to try to get used to with this manga. Is it's not gonna be like how you would watch a duel in the anime or from like the older mangas, like the GX manga or the 5Ds manga. So it's gonna be a little bit different, but I'm really excited to try this manga out a little bit more because I'm gonna be doing all the chapter reviews for this manga. So yeah, but let's get into it. So this was continuing off from the last chapter. At the very end of the last chapter, we're in the duel between Shoma and Strong. Excuse me. Where it barely started. It ended off last time where Shoma just got out Link 1 Mock of the Tenyi, and then Strong had a bunch of swarm monsters on the field, which was the archetype that I couldn't remember from the last episode, or the last chapter, excuse me. So that was my bad. And Strong asked the question to Shoma, do you think you're going to be able to get rid of all my monsters? And in which case he responds, yes, he does believe that. And this surprises Strong and misguided is like, how in the world are you going to be able to do that? Because he was judging based off the attack point stat because he went for more power in his deck. But Shoma then goes into a big old combos where he basically was trying to get rid of his field by using different effects of his Tenyi monsters and then like his spirit monsters to try to return cards to the hand, because when he was doing this, he only left the field spell by the end of this turn. He kept popping off different effects. He kept on link summoning. He got the link 2 monster, that other Tenyi monster. I think it was like Shoma or something like that of the Tenyi. It was something like that. He was able to get her out, and he was able to pop off effects on her. He actually attacks with Monk of the Tenyi and actually takes some pretty major damage. I think he ended up taking around. I think he ended like with 6,200 life points. He took like major damage, but he did that just so he can be able to return a card to the hand and he was then able to actually get off a direct attack with Berserker of the Tenyi, which was a Link 3 monster that he was actually able to summon that turn as well, and was actually able to deal off some major damage to Strong. Which, another thing that's going to be weird with this manga is, if you've been watching the anime, or heck, even been reading the manga for years now, you know that the anime and the manga normally follows the 4,000 life point rule. They just do this because it's a little bit faster. They're doing it. They're doing 8,000 life points for the OCG Structures manga because, again, that's more for the real life card games. So they feel like they should do it like it is the real life card game. In the real life card game, you actually have 8,000 life points instead of 4,000. So I think this is also going to make the duels a little bit longer. Plus, with all these different effects that go off, this is going to be. I feel like these duels could potentially be longer than some of Rain's duels, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, because of effects and then just the sheer amount of life points that they have. But I could be wrong, because this was only one chapter to do it, and I would say that I was pretty impressed with Shoma's skill during this duel. But Strong lost all his monsters, but he immediately gets them out. He goes to try to take some damage. Shoma keeps popping off effects, and I'm not gonna try to explain what each effect does. I don't know any of the Tenji monsters, so explaining it to you guys is going to be like a 4-year-old trying to teach you how to do Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm probably the most casual person you will ever meet when it comes to the card game. Because I have not really played it that much. Like, I'll play online maybe a couple of times, but I've never really, like, played competitively before. I think the only, like, competitive deck. Well, I don't even know if it was competitive back then, but back then I used to play online a Zodiac deck. I used to play that a while ago, but then the ban list came, and then we lost a couple of good monsters for Zodiac. So, yeah, it was kind of sad, but that was probably the closest deck that I had that was competitive. So, yeah. But anyway, he was Strong was able to pop off effects so that he can be able to actually attack. He was able to negate one of the Spirit Dragon's effects because he was trying to return it to the graveyard. So if, I think, Berserker got destroyed, it would end up actually being able to revive it. He was able to negate it, but he was still able to pop it off, and he was able to revive Berserker. And then he ends his turn. He's only able to get Shoma's life points is 5,600. We go to Shoma's turn, and he starts going more into his plays. I think he summons another Mock of the Tenyi and another one of the Link 2s. And then we see him summon the tuner monster. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a Yanzing tuner monster, which that was an archetype I had never heard of either. Then you had Shoma. He said this pretty cool line. It was, excuse me, I coughed over my words there a little bit. He said, Dex construction is an endless expansion of the universe, or something like that. It's somewhere around those lines. And then, and this is where I feel like I'm going to like this character pretty well, because we see him go back into the structure world, I believe is what it is called, and you see him with the young Zing monsters, and then you had Shoma with the Tenji monsters, and then they fly off into like the sky or something, into the sky. I don't know where in the world they were going, but that's not really the point. But I like little cool scenes as that, because that feels definitely Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, and I feel like that's where I think this manga is going to make it a little bit more intriguing, because if it was just solely on deck building, I feel like I might not be that interested, because I feel like with just the whole manga with structuring, if it's not your deck, I feel like not a lot of people will be into it. But when you add stories like this, and you add like how characters do this, and if you can build a story around this, I think you can make a pretty cool story with this concept about the structure world and that, and then like building decks to like maybe face off villain. Now, it doesn't have to be like gods or something like that, like we've seen in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe like a tournament or something like that. Like they had like this little mini tournament that they had. You do something like this, or do like this big old tournament and do stuff like that. I think that would be pretty cool, and you can add some like kind of villain in there as well, because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! At least you have to have a villain. I mean, at least I feel like, but I don't know. I thought that was a really cool scene. It was one of my favorite moments in the chapter, or well, one of my favorite moments is like you see the whole field of monsters, and this is just because of bias, because I saw one of the monsters on there from one of my favorite archetypes of all time. I don't know why, I just love the design of the cards, and I'll talk about it in a second. But we go back to the duel. Actually, no, we're talking about it right now. He goes back to the duel, and because before that moment, he actually was able to synchro summon a level 5 Yazing monster. So Yazings are, I guess, the synchro. I don't know if they're actually part of the Tenji archetype. I think they're maybe just their own. And I think what that was mean is like maybe like combining different decks together. Because you've seen I think people have seen hybrid decks before. I think you can see like I saw online like someone created Shadol Ferglins, which the Ferglins are like a dragon archetype of just high level 7 or 8 dragon type monsters, and then no, it wasn't. No, it was Shadol. I didn't remember it was invoked or not. Or like in Duel Links for me, I use um elemental heroes like the Neos archetype and invoked, which I'm really sad invokes got hit in the ban list. I will say that I'm a little bit tilted on that. But anyway, like I think that was kind of being more towards like you can combine decks together, and maybe the Yazing is part of the Tenyi archetype, and I might just be sounding like an idiot, but again, I really don't know these archetypes. I've heard of Yazings, but I don't think I've ever seen one of the Yazing monsters. I just knew they had Synchro monsters. That was the only thing I knew going into this. But we see him have a level 8. I think he had a level 7, or it was a 6. It was one of those, another like Synchro monster. He had the one from before, and he actually had a new Link monster. He had Link 2 Crystron Glass Fiber. It was going to say on the screen. In English, it is known as Crystron Halky Fiber X. Love the design of the card, though. I know a lot of people. I feel like if anyone is in the competitive world knows this card, and you guys probably know that you guys want this card banned. Like, I don't know how many times I hear because I always follow up on the ban lists too, because I just like to see what cards get banned. Which I'm gonna say, I'm so happy that Block Dragon got banned. I kind of took a break from it because I was getting really ticked off, because I feel like every person I was facing online was playing goddamn Block Dragon. It was really making me angry. But Crystron Halky Fiber was used by Shoma, which I thought was really cool. I love the Crystron archetype. It's one of, if not my favorite archetypes. I love the design of the monsters. They look so cool. They look like machine, or like some like the main monsters. I like Crystron Smigler. It looks like a lion like machine monster, and it looks really cool. Like a cyborg, not a cyborg, because a cyborg's a half machine, half human. Just like a robot tiger, and I really do like it. I think they look pretty cool, and like I like Crystron Quandrix. The high attack, the level 9, I think synchro. Yeah, it's level 9 synchro monster, and then like Crystron Phoenix, I absolutely love as well. So maybe we'll see Crystrons, but again, I guess Crystrons are newer, so I don't think we will see the deck. I think they're going to be more focused on newer decks. So yeah, even though that's kind of sad, I think we might be able to see ones further on. Maybe we'll see Phantom Knights. I don't know. Though I doubt it, because, well, if the chapter goes on that long, because I feel like with the chapters going more with the card game, we might be seeing stuff from like Rise of the Duelist and Phantom Rage and maybe even Blazing Vortex. That depends on how long the mangas go, so we might be seeing decks like that as well, which I wonder, that's another thing too. Right now this manga is falling in Master Rule 4, so I don't know what chapter they're going to actually ship to Master Rule 5. They have to ship to Master Rule 5, right? That would make sense, so I don't know what chapter it is. Actually, as long as you guys don't tell me what chapter, like what's in that chapter, let me know what chapter it is before they change it. If they didn't change it, please let me know, because that would be very interesting. I would like to know that. But he gets all those monsters out, and he was able to wipe out the field again, and he was able to direct attack with his monsters and was able to beat Strong. Then Shoma goes up to him and he asks him if he wants to duel again, and in which case Strong actually replies, but Miss Guy tells him that they can't because they're in the middle of a tournament right now and they needed to go into the next match, which we do know Shoma's result. He was able to win all three of his duels. He was able to go 3-0, which is pretty impressive, and even Miss Guide was even pretty impressed with his skill. And then we see her looking at Shoma's like Dueler ID pass, and then Shoma is dueling strong again right now. I think we're building decks closer to the end of the episode, and then we get this little funny scene where we see Shoma's sister really mad at Shoma because, or he wasn't physically with his sister, but his sister was mad because he got home and he was late. So I thought it was pretty funny there to kind of have that little joke at the end, and then that was the end of the manga, or at the end of the chapter. Also, I guess I'll say it in this video as well. I do know the sister's name. I didn't know it in the last episode. I couldn't remember it. I did write it down this time. Her name is Agiha Yusa, I believe is how you pronounce her name. So, yeah, that's the sister's name. I guess I wanted to end it off with that because I remember I forgot that in the last chapter, and I guess I wanted to actually finish what I missed from the last one. So, yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this chapter review. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this chapter down below. I do want to apologize if I didn't explain the duel very well. It's just what this type of dueling style, with it being more towards, like, I feel like more towards competitive dueling, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder to explain to me, and I'm trying to do it the most simplest way as I can to kind of really explain what happened. I'm not going to go through the specific monsters and like explain each of their effects because, again, A, I don't know the deck very well, and B, that's just something that is out of my range. I would have it takes me a while to like learn a deck. Like right now, I'm trying to learn Phantom Knights. I want to try, even though they're not really that competitive, they're not as good. I was kind of hoping them to be, but I'm trying to learn that deck right now, and I'm still taking some time to try to learn the deck, so I am a little bit slow when it comes to that. So if I can't really explain like a duel that well, or at least explain like how all of these effects works, I do apologize. I'm just not that good at the card game to be that kind of guy. And if you want to see like all the different combos yourself, obviously you can read the chapter as well. And if you guys are wondering how to read a chapter, maybe I'll leave a link down in the description below so you guys can go check it out as well, because I don't think you can actually get it on the book. I could be wrong. I've just been reading it online for right now. So yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care.